Actually, a couple of minutes to 1 a.m. and I'm talking to you from Melbourne. Now, normally I do these live streams from my studio in Perth, but obviously I'm away at the race, and my son, I've kept him up here till all hours trying to get this to work. And look, it's not quite as lavish a production as what you'd see if I was doing this from Perth, and I've had to wear glasses obviously so I can see your questions. But what a remarkable, and that's why you're getting a bit of a reflection, what a remarkable couple of days we've had here. And it started off with, what are we now? We're Thursday. So Wednesday I went in the afternoon. There was a bit of activity around, a few punters, and nobody was signing autographs, nobody was doing selfies any great way. There was occasionally a driver who might stop and do it. And then today, yesterday afternoon, we heard that there was a couple of cases of people being taken for testing for the virus. Today, completely different matter. All the drivers came in. Obviously, it's Thursday, media day, and it was quite amazing because all the drivers avoided the people, quickly moved through. Some walked down the Melbourne Walk, others walked the path across so that they were a little bit harder to find and see, and managed to get straight into the paddock. They denied a couple of them signed. I did see Lando sign something, and somebody else posed for a photo, but in general, it was just straight through to their hospitality suites. There was no shaking hands as a rule. It was fist bumps or elbow touches, waving. And then of course, throughout the day, we'd get news of, somebody else has been taken out for testing. And I heard one of the Ferrari people had been taken for testing last night. And then today I heard that a photographer was going to be tested for the virus as well. And of course, as you probably know, McLaren have now pulled out of tomorrow's race because one of their mechanics came back with a positive test. But surprisingly and thankfully for Haas, none of their guys came back with a positive result. So that's great news for a troubled team. You know, they're having some dramas, of course, and this might not have helped them. Anyway, so I've got questions here, which I'll have to read off a computer down here. And if you want to get to the top, Tyler, is Super Chat working?
I do believe it is. Unfortunately, however, we don't have the pop-ups.
Okay, so Super Chat is working if you want to get to the top, because it looks like we've got quite a jeepers, 360 people watching in the first few minutes. So obviously, most of you are in Europe. I wouldn't think there'd be too many people in Melbourne at 1 a.m. still up watching this. So let's see if I can answer a few of your questions, if I can find a couple. That's right, all 4 Haas members were negative, so that's great. Says Claire Elizabeth. Corona pops up. Okay, that's a joke. A lot of people saying it should be cancelled, the race, and look, tomorrow we may find out. But of course, so far, of the 9 people who have been tested, 1 was positive, 7 were negative, and 1 is outstanding. So really, it's quite bizarre when you've got people who've flown in from all around the world, and then you've suddenly got one person who's got the flu and has been sent home, or back to the hotel and quarantined, obviously, that we are now talking about possibly cancelling the race on Sunday. And as Louise Smith says, why should we cancel the race if it was McLaren's decision? I'm of the same opinion, but throughout the whole day, there was just people talking all throughout the paddock, and I've not ever experienced anything like this. I know I've only been doing it for 3 years, but it was quite phenomenal, the chat that was going on. Let me see if I can find some questions. Ty, you might want to help me pick some out here too.
I could sit here and...
Good, you can just sit here, Ty. Well, you can sit up here next to me, mate. And was told you were responsible for bringing back the backdrop and the flashes for the driver's portraits. That is correct, yeah. Tyler actually put that up. Yeah. And it was great. It was nice and taut. And we had one little issue, which wasn't actually Tyler's issue. It was more, we had 2 umbrellas sitting over the top of the where the driver stood, and there was a small gap. And if you have a look at any of the photos of Carlos Sainz, he's the only one that has this stripe coming across his head. Hello, James Gowan from New Zealand. What's my opinion, says Alex Polk. Should it go on? Yeah, I reckon it should. Crikey, we've got all these people here, and yeah, I'm definitely for it going ahead, and I would hate to get up tomorrow morning and find out that there's been an issue there's been a decree from FIA saying, no, it's all cancelled, come and get your gear and pack up and go home. And I also understand that it's quite tricky for Italians. Pardon, Ty?
It's hard to get through this. There's
I
a
know.
lot. There's 465 people. It's just
Yeah, I know.
150 people above the most we've ever had.
Yeah, so it's a pretty surreal situation here. And when I saw that come through, well, when did that come through? About an hour ago now, hour and a bit ago, that McLaren had pulled out. It just absolutely floored me. And of course, you've got to respect that's their decision, it's their people, and they are making a decision based on a business, so they are responsible if things go bad. Do you think the whole season could get cancelled? Oh, I don't think coronavirus is going to last the whole year. If it is, we're all in big strife, I think. I feel sorry for some of the freelance guys in the sport, because that's going to obviously hurt them if there's significant delays in races starting. You know, perhaps we don't start until the second half of the year. Please wear the mask. Well, no, I'm not wearing any mask. The mask, I'm told, and I could be wrong, is really only useful for stopping it spreading to other people.
I'm going to swap you, use my phone, I'm going to try it.
Right.
Set this up better.
Tyler's going to... good thing I've got my glasses on here. At what point, no matter what they do, is it going to be a PR night? Look, it's a PR nightmare now. And I was just talking to somebody today about if they do cancel it, do they even have enough staff to sort out all of the ramifications of cancelling an event the size of a Formula One race and this close to it? Uzair Said says, I definitely think a race should go ahead, but since McLaren are not taking part, I don't think points should be awarded. Who knows? Who knows what should happen? Hey chat, is that Kim's son? Yes, Alec, that is Kim's son, the eldest one. The youngest one was here, but he's gone back to Perth to do a bit of study. Did they remove the drain that ripped off Ricciardo's front wing last year? You know what, I haven't even gone out there and had a look, but I did see some photos where they had concreted over that pathway. So I'm going to say yes, and I'll know on Saturday, because I'm probably going to go out into the paddock into the pit lane on Saturday. Do I think if the race goes ahead, they'll count for championship points? Asks Ellie Oop 1. Yeah, I think it will, because it's McLaren's decision to pull out. They weren't told to pull out. They chose to do so, and I understand, my limited understanding, and perhaps I'll be corrected on this, is that if that's the case, well, you take that penalty, I guess. If you want to pull out, you can't earn any points. Hi, Kim from France with love, says tag 2TZG. Thank you for that in France, and I guess most of you are going to be from Europe and certainly not from Australia at this hour of the night.
Can't do it any better.
Righty up.
Unfortunately.
Tyler has admitted defeat after much effort today. I did actually overhear a lovely story with Roman Grosjean. I was talking to him and Nicholas Latifi came over. I know this is an aside to the dramas, but at testing, Nicholas had to borrow Roman's hands device. That's the unit that fits over the shoulders and stops your neck going forward savagely with your head in a crash. And he had to do that because Nicholas's neck had got so solid with all his training that his old hands device didn't fit. So, yeah.
I'm going to give you a question from Scott Mack.
Scott Mack.
He asks, how do the other photographers
feel about the situation at the moment? Are all happy to travel for the entire season? I think we're all frustrated, and like we were doing the driver portraits today, and there was probably 25 of us just in this small area. And at that time, I thought, geez, you know, we're supposed to be a metre apart, and we're all on top of each other. And I'd hear someone say, this Lufthansa's just cancelled the flight back to so-and-so. Oh, right, now we've got to go and change that. Oh, Emirates have now done this. So it's a very fluid situation. And guys that thought they were going from here to somewhere else, via somewhere else, are now having to scrap that plan, go another route, at great cost, I imagine, too, at the last minute. So, yeah, that's just, I guess everyone in the world has this same problem. If you're travelling, and at this time of year, at this time of our lives, it's going to be inconvenient. Giard, I met you in Barcelona, it was great, and thanks for signing the photo, that was my pleasure. In fact, I had a bit of a laugh today because somebody had one of my pictures. It was a Daniel picture from the German GP with the spray, and they had it there at the track, which was great. And they were hoping that Daniel would sign it. And they said, look, can you get him to sign it? I thought, he's not signing anything. All of the drivers today, if you ask them to sign something, they say, I can't do it, just can't do it. And they say, oh, come on. And they'd hand the pen. He said, I can't touch the pen. And I was with Roman for a little bit today, and I noticed at some stage he got Kim Keedle, his trainer, to go inside the hospitality suite and get his own black pen to sign. And then someone came up and said, oh, can you sign the front of my visor? And he said, yeah, I went to do it in black. No, it's got to be in my silver. He said, well, I can't touch your pen. So that's the seriousness that they were taking this whole thing. Any other questions, Tyler, that you've looked at?
Lots of people just genuinely asking, should it be cancelled? Should it not be cancelled?
I don't think it should be. I don't want it to be cancelled.
Yeah, I agree.
I just think if it's just for one mechanic because he's ill, and I don't know the full story, so there may be more to it than we know. I don't want it to be cancelled. I want to see the race. I want to see people who've come a long way and paid a lot of money to get their money's worth.
Good one from Ashvin. I hope I didn't butcher the name.
Yeah.
He says, hey Kim, what do you think lies in stores for Bahrain and Vietnam?
Well, Vietnam will be cancelled. I bet money on that. And Bahrain, I think it's a very strong chance we'll find out Sunday after the race that one will be cancelled as well. So I wouldn't be booking any travel to either of those two venues until Sunday night at the very earliest. Look, I've got several flights booked to Bahrain and back because I wanted to make sure I could get to and from. So I just take the one that obviously suits me best, and I know already that they've cancelled several flights on me and put me back to crazy, and a lot of the other photographers too, because I think a few of us are on the same flight. And they say, oh, you've got to go 2 days early. Yeah, but Melbourne's not even finished and you want us to travel. So yeah, it's just a drama that we all have to put up with.
I have seen a couple of people ask about the atmosphere. I think it's not just Oliver. They ask about the general atmosphere in the paddock and at the track.
We're all talking to each other. We're all, how's it going? What do you know? What do you know? And I was talking to one of the Red Bull people yesterday, and he said, right, well, we've got definitely 2 or 3 people being tested. I said, oh, okay. So yeah, we're all comparing notes, hearing different things. At one stage, it was suggested that Vietnam would be cancelled and their race would go to Bahrain, and we'd run them 2 weekends in a row. So we'd have round 2 being the weekend after this one, and round 3 being the weekend after that. And I gather if that would happen, that would be Vietnam sponsors perhaps going onto the track in Bahrain for their advertising dollar, and once again in front of no audience, which will be a surreal experience if that comes about and we get to go to Bahrain. And there was some talk today that media wouldn't be invited, but I believe that if it goes ahead, media will certainly get in there.
Alec pointed something interesting out. He's telling everyone that you will be okay because of your scarves. Not to worry.
Yeah, well, I actually need it on today because it's bloody cold in here. It's not cold outside. It's just that I'm staying in my sister-in-law's house, and her husband has the air conditioning on frigid.
And a little bit off topic from the coronavirus, but someone was asking, Jello, again, butchered the name possibly, which driver do you think has the best helmet?
I like Daniels.
Yeah, Daniels is
some
really
some of
cool.
the guys were saying they didn't like it, and I thought, no, I really like it. I liked Valtteri's as well, and he was pretty proud of it. I saw him post today about it. What else are you picking out? I thought it was just Jose Feliciano. It's Jello Feliciano. Which driver do you think? Oh, we just did that. How are you seeing that quicker than me?
Not quicker, just looking at it before you can.
You know, another thing today too, Lewis Hamilton was the last driver to do his driver portrait. He came up, he went to the FIA garage to be weighed, and then he came into where we were. He posed for his photos, and as soon as he finished, I darted out the back and I went down a corridor that would normally go down to the back and rather ugly area behind all of the hospitality suites, and all the other photographers ran out to the main part of the paddock where they thought he was going to walk down the middle of the paddock, but he never does that. So I managed to get this interesting shot of him walking away from me in a rather grotty looking part of the Albert Park circuit. Got a question for me, Tom?
Yeah, Matthias wants to know if the virus has made it more difficult to sell photos, but I don't think you'll have noticed much of a difference.
No. So most of the photographers have clients already, so it's not really a matter of are people buying. It's not a buy to sell demand, sort of buy to. Not a. What am I trying to say?
It doesn't affect the demand.
Yeah,
because
that's it.
Because they've already got.
That's it.
Deals.
They're all in place.
Dan,
Best.
you go.
Yeah, best place to watch trackside. I'll be there Sunday. If I was in the general public, I'd go to turn 6 because I always quite like that, and it's an interesting view, and you're not too far from the action. But look, I couldn't much tell you about grandstands because I've never sat in a grandstand in Melbourne.
Someone said that they read that the McLaren coronavirus has put 12 other team members in self-quarantine.
Yeah?
Which could be the reason.
It may well,
had to pull
that's
it.
right.
Yeah.
Because you have to have a certain number of people. And if this guy was sharing a room with someone and suddenly that person's in doubt, yeah, it may well be that is the case. And we don't know that. All we got was that simple press release saying one of their guys has been tested positive, and hence that's made their decision easy to go ahead and cancel. And I'm absolutely sure that neither of the two drivers will be happy with that. They wanted to race and they've come a long way to race, and now they have to either sit and watch the race if it goes ahead or take off back home.
An interesting question from Ashvin.
Mm-hmm.
How harmful is it for team sponsors if races are run without spectators? Well, how harmful do you think it is? Because I couldn't.
No, somewhere in Bahrain, you get you might only get 30 or 40,000 there on race day if you get that, and I don't think any sponsor that comes into F1 is particularly worried about those at the track. Maybe in a big event like Monza, but certainly for a Bahrain, it makes no difference. I think it's all based on the value of the TV.
Two good questions.
Mm-hmm.
What time do you usually get to the circuit? And that's from Greg Thompson.
And the second one?
And the second one is, what's the best place to find you at Melbourne? For people who
Okay,
wanna
so
meet you?
normally I will get to the track. What are we, today I got there at, I would have got there a lot earlier, but he hadn't got his media pass, so we had to go and queue there. But normally I'd get there, say 9 o'clock for an event like this, which starts a little bit later. Some events we got to get there at 7, like Mexico, you got to get there at 7 a.m. And the second part of that question was best.
The second question was best place to find you at
Melbourne Walk tomorrow morning. All the drivers have to come through there, and it was a real bun fight today. Despite the fact that some of the European TV crews weren't there, it was still very busy with TV people getting right into the face of the drivers, and of course they always muck up our shots as photographers.
There are 745 people in the live stream.
Thank you. There's 752 on here, 760 now. So
Holy
thank you to every one of those people for not staying up late, because I imagine middle of the afternoon for you. Yes, somebody said here Tom Hanks has got it. Him and his wife are holed up somewhere in Australia. So that's not much fun. Not much fun for anyone, I guess, having to go and just deal with the flu for 2 weeks on their own without going and infecting everybody else. If they cancel a GP for a team deciding to pull out, can't other teams just pull out of future races that they know will not go well?
Huh, that's not a bad question.
Yeah, but if they just pull out on their own, my understanding is that that doesn't mean that the race is cancelled or points don't count. I think if you pull out, that just makes it easier for the other 9 teams. It's 7 a.m. in the US, 10 p.m. in Singapore, of course, same time as Perth. Jimmy J, love your work. I love your couple of dollars in there from Jimmy J in the US of A. Where are you, Jimmy? What state are you in, and what are you doing? So obviously there's quite a number of people on here now.
I'm struggling to pick questions.
I know. Creepy old pervert says, I'm watching a live stream from inside the bus station restroom toilet stall because I get free Wi-Fi in here. But where are you, creepy old pervert? What country are you in? If F1 cancelled a race, will F2 follow? Well, there's no F2 here, is there, I don't think?
No, and did you not mention that they'd cancelled all the support races?
Well, no, they hadn't. So I thought they had, but somebody told me no, and definitely not, because I'm photographing a couple of the F2 drivers for a client of mine. Thanks a ton for doing this for us fans. It's hard dealing with such shocking headlines, says Ashvin, and not having more clarity on the situation, sitting thousands of miles away. Yeah, and I get lots of people from friends in the media who are not at this race, wanting to know details, like the photographer today. Who's the photographer that was going to be tested. I didn't know the gentleman. It's an overseas photographer. And of course that strikes home too, because without a doubt, they would have been sitting in my area, and that area is maybe 15 metres wide by 20 long, and would have been, not sitting next to me, because I think I had only you sitting next to me for a little bit today.
Yeah, that's pretty
But
chill.
yeah, that's of some concern that somebody close to you has that, and hopefully I don't get a runny nose and a headache and a fever.
Toby White wants to know if McLaren will have to pay a fine, because I know nothing.
Oh, I
assume you
don't
won't
know,
anything
but
either.
I couldn't tell you whether that's the case. Perhaps someone could do some research on the internet while we're talking to you, and then perhaps you could make a star of yourself. If you want to jump to the head of this queue, because I think we're missing more than we're getting here, get on to Super Chat, and that's the way to rort the system.
And for anyone who isn't already subscribed, make sure to subscribe, because
Yeah.
Kim's not far away from 30,000, which would be very exciting.
We'd like to see you subscribing. I saw you on the new Drive to Survive episode, says Alfini. That's correct. I just sneaked into one episode walking past a garage that I saw the other night. But yeah, there's a nice shot 6 minutes from the end in episode 10, so I just managed to scrape in. Are drivers afraid because of the situation, or are they ready to race? Like I didn't ask anyone. So I keep seeing people say on my Instagram feed that Lewis is not keen to race.
You would think it would be both. They would be afraid but want to race, right?
Yeah, and they were, did I read too that they put an end to press conferences? I think so. The media scrum, they're getting rid of that because of the fact that they don't want their drivers too close. Greg Thompson on Super Chat. No question, Greg. Just your name, Greg Thompson with a P. My favourite spelling of Thompson. I don't like Thompson without the P. I like the P in it. So well done to you, Greg. And Greg's getting some attention for having his question.
Importantly, James Corner is asking for someone to give Lancelin a shout out.
Yes, Lancelin. It's missing me this weekend. What is it now? It's about 10:17 p.m. in sunny Lancelin off on the West Australian coast. Rightio, Phil Francis. Are there any drivers who have been distinctly hidden away in the paddock compared to the others? Well, no, they all had to come down to the driver portraits today. No, I think I saw them all. I think I saw them about. Lewis was the last one to come in for his driver portrait at 2:30, and I'm not sure he would have stayed around too long after that. There was only one for, someone says, do you use a mask while in the paddock? Jovan. And Media Day, no, I don't use a mask. I hate the things. But I did see one photographer with one on today, and that was the only one. And of course, did you see Esteban Ocon come in? He had the black rubber mask. Was it rubber? No, it might have been
It
just
was some cool fabric. In fact,
Yeah.
I'll get the post up here
Yeah.
if you want.
And that was a really popular post on the page today. He was the only one to have come in dressed like that. And I think I saw everybody who did come in. Use your scarf to fend off corona. Well, I tell you what, it was bloody hot at the track. You didn't need it at the track today. That would have been most inconvenient.
Here's the picture. Not very elegant way of displaying,
Yes.
but nonetheless.
Go closer than that. Go closer than that. Yeah. That actually works all
Not
right.
very elegant.
What I am fearing is getting up in the morning and saying, unfortunately, FIA have cancelled the Grand Prix. No spectators will be allowed into it. That's what I really would dread, because then we're going to go back and pack up all our camera gear, which is in our lockers, and we have nothing to do for the rest of the weekend except my dinner, which I am going ahead with. So if you're coming along to my dinner at the Smith tomorrow night, tomorrow night now, Saturday night, that's going ahead, rain or shine, virus or no virus. We're having dinner, and we will have plenty to talk about, because I'll be able to go into some more detail. Will Buxton had a very cool mask while travelling. Did he just? I think I might have seen him on Instagram. How can I get a media pass, Greg Thompson? Well, you can apply to the FIA, and if they like your pitch, they'll give you one. If they don't, they'll say no. But yeah, it's not easy. And
Can I go get my media pass?
Yeah, go and
Show
get
them what
yours.
it's like? Yeah.
get yours tight. Excuse me. Did everyone get tested on the track? No, I don't think so. No, it was just pretty normal. There was lots of hand sanitizer, bucket loads of those things all around the paddock, which was great. And it was evident too, as I said before, the drivers would not touch someone's pen. They wouldn't pick up anything. They would just use the pen they had just to minimise that chance. And of course, when you've got your own teammates going off for testing for this virus. Yeah, you don't want to be too overt about it. You want to be very careful. We need a Finland F1 GP, Think Property Club. Well, I'm sure if you get onto the FIA, Formula One, and propose something that's commercially sensible, I'm sure they'd love to have one up there. Did any of the drivers look sick? None at all. But no, I've got photos, and in fact, I think I've just put up, I just saw it go up a minute ago, on my Instagram feed, is the second 10 driver portrait shots. So today, I spent 2.5 hours just waiting for 20 drivers to roll up. And as a result, if you go to my Instagram feed and have a look there, you'll see all 20 drivers in 2 posts of 10, and you can have a look and tell me whether you think they look tired.
This is it here.
Yeah, this is a media pass. This one gets you into the track.
I'm pretty sure that number on the bottom is not meant to be known, but
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. No one's gonna. That's actually a very clever piece of technology, because that goes through the swipe gates and tells you whether or not you're allowed entry. So it's not like you can shonk in easily.
A very difficult thing to.
Yeah, and then of course
copy.
If you get mine,
Do you know where it is?
It's on my calico bag. So his what do you call it? His lanyard is that colour. That does not allow access to the grid. Mine has a different colour, and as such I have access to the grid, which is the most marvellous thing. And if we do go to Bahrain, I think it'll be quite an amazing thing to get onto the grid and only have team members and media. There'll be no invited guests, and they would probably make up normally about, I'm thinking, 20%, 30% of those people on the grid on a normal race day. Okay, let's pick another question. If you want to jump the queue, Super Chat's the way to go. Says Jess, are you going to be doing a dinner in France or do a meetup? France is a bit tricky because people stay in a very wide area. So at this stage, no, and let's hope that we get to France. So here's the 2 different lanyards. So as you can see, mine's got a bit of orange on it, and I think you'll be able to read there. It says access to the grid. For what that's worth, anybody interested? Says Damien, what do you think about Robert Kubica? Any movie about Robert Kubica? He seems like a lovely man. I have never really talked to him. I don't think. I've said hello a couple of times, but never had the opportunity to chat with him. I did shoot a function for Acronis, one of the sponsors of Williams, and he spoke, and he was entertaining to listen to. Kim, you should do a lanyard giveaway, Alec Polk. Okay. Probably not going to do that, but thank you for the suggestion. McDonald's burnt chicken nuggets. That's not a statement, that's somebody's Instagram username. Prediction, all teams except Haas pull out. Haas get a 1-2 in qualifying. Haas are running first and last in the race. Haas gets a double DNF because of bad pit stops. Mercedes wins somehow. Well, that's pretty sharp. That's pretty sharp.
Eric wants to know about a dinner in Austin, Texas.
Oh, it's a nightmare because you've got to pay a fortune for a restaurant in advance, and if you don't get enough people, it could be a loss maker. But let's say perhaps. Let's hope we get there, because the Europeans couldn't go if it was next week. I see they've been shut out unless they go via Britain, if I understand the situation correct. Are you going to Vietnam GP? Well, Dan Lee, I don't reckon there's going to be one. I'm really concerned that Sunday night that's going to be axed, which will be a damn shame. And thank you to the 823 of you who are sitting somewhere in the world looking at us in this lounge room of my sister-in-law, which is a lovely house in Melbourne. About 20 minutes to the track.
Here's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever forgotten your media pass? Or
Yes.
Have you ever had trouble getting into something
twice.
because of it?
Absolutely. There's 2 fascinating stories. One was in France, and I had, that was the year that the traffic was shocking, and I took off from Bandol, and I got halfway up the hill, so I'm about an hour into the 3-hour, I'm about 45 minutes into the 3-hour trip, realised I had no media pass. I thought, right, if I get up to the top of the hill and I have to apply for a pass there, actually I'll step back and I'll go back to the time I lost one. I accidentally sent it to the laundry and didn't realise it, and I get to the track and it's not around my bag. So I go to the lost ticket office, what is it called? The
Lost and found.
the media centre, and I say, hey, I've lost my pass. And they say, right. So I had to sit there for an hour while they printed me a new one. And the moment I got into the track, 2 or 3 photographers instantly knew that I'd lost it. So I was shamed there. So when I didn't have the one in France, when I left it back in the apartment, I thought, right, I'm going to have to drive back because I'm not going to go through that embarrassment again. So I did drive back, about 30 minutes to get back, so I'm an hour and 15, and then I've got another 2.5 hours up the top of the hill. So yeah, I got there just in time for the first session and got no driver arrival pics, so a bit of a dunce, but they're the only 2 times, and I've got a much better system now. Okay, where are we going to go to next?
In fact, do you want to explain your system? Might be interesting to some.
What's that?
The fact that you tie it to your
When I get home, I tie it to my camera bag so that I don't forget it. What do you think about Charlotte's sign? Well, I photographed her yesterday, and I had actually talked to her via Instagram a few months ago and asked her whether she might be coming to a race, and she did say she was in Melbourne. Yeah, she was studying away, I think, doing some study out the front of the Ferrari hospitality suite yesterday. Well, when I say yesterday, I mean the day prior, which was the Tuesday. Yeah, I had a quick chat with her, and she seems nice. Who's to judge? Hello, Kim. Who's your favourite driver personally? Who would you like to see crowned world champ? Well, at the moment, I spent some time with Pierre Gasly the other day, shooting him at a gym. It was thoroughly entertaining. Had some great stories, and also Roman Grosjean. I spent some time having a meal with him recently, and really enjoyed his approach and his good nature. He's not too serious about it all. He realises that he crashes occasionally, and even gets onto social media and lampoons himself, and I like that. Daniel's always enjoyable to be around. Valtteri's lovely and calm. Nico's not there anymore. I used to enjoy him because he was always a bit of a character.
Dan says he needs an update WAGs video.
Yeah, I know. I'm gathering ammunition for it.
Yeah.
I haven't ever seen Lando with a woman at the track. I've not seen Daniel with a partner. I've not seen Alex. Yeah, I think I have. There's a story there too. But,
Okay.
Yep.
2 questions. San wants you to go live from the paddock. Can you explain
Can't
why
do
you
it. Can't do it because we're not allowed to broadcast any video as a photographer. You do that and you just lose your accreditation. So that will never happen, and I wish it would. I see someone's come up here with this is interesting that I can see on that screen a little bit quicker. Think Property Club, best piece of memorabilia you picked up, carbon, etc. No, I've not picked up anything off the track. Best piece.
Rubber.
Yep.
It's always just rubber.
So
have you ever done a hot lap? Henry asks.
Thank you, Think Property Club.
Oh yes.
Best piece of memorabilia. I'm trying to think. Is there anything else that I've failed to take into account? No, I can't say. What was that?
Henry wants to know if you've ever done a hot lap.
No, never done a hot lap. Oh yeah, well, in essence, I've driven the track in Melbourne because I used to drive rally cars. And one year I had the opportunity to take my rally car out on the track. 2 days of the event. It was the Friday and the Saturday, and we got to drive 2 or 3 laps, and that was fantastic. Oh, and I also paid 1 year for a corporate go-kart thing at the Melbourne GP and drove the track there. But my size and limited skill back then meant that I was pretty much at the back of the field with some other rugby player, I think. He was bigger than me. Got to be pretty lithe to do well in that sport. Did you train as a photographer? No. I just took lots of photos and got better. Once you do something for 10,000 hours, you're an expert, they say. So I've got a few more hours to go, but hopefully it's getting better. What do you think about Delara Sandlick, says Eggy Alia. Yeah, lovely girl, quiet, good friend of Kate Massetti Zanini, and Kate was telling me tonight, Kate's Pierre's girlfriend, Pierre Gasly's girlfriend, she was telling me that it's a real drama in Italy, and she can't even get out of the house, which is sad. And I don't know how Pierre's going to go getting back into Italy, because he lives in Italy, in Bologna. So that's going to be interesting if you can't come back in because the borders are closed. How do you think this will affect the driver market if the season's postponed or cancelled?
Driver market?
Yeah, because all these drivers, 16 of them, come up for contract renewal at the end of the year.
Right.
Well, I think it might make it very tricky to work out if anyone's improved, because they won't have had the opportunity to go and prove that. What other countries you hope to host F1? Don't really care. I'd like to see China lose theirs and someone else get that, because that's not a very enjoyable race. It's not the, look, it is probably the least enjoyable of all of them. So this year, got lucky and it got cancelled. What else you picked out? Tyler, anything?
Angel wants to know who's the tallest driver.
Oh. Yeah, I did something recently. It was Esteban or George. I think, it was one of those two, maybe Alex. If you go back through my posts, I actually did something on that recently. Mad Max, that sucks, coronavirus. Yeah, we're going to show that. I think you can handle sucks, can't you?
Think Property Club asks if you have to take your own toilet roll to the track.
No, in fact, I don't even use their toilets to sit down. They're portaloos, and I think we're best doing it pre and post going to the track. Hi from Hungary. I love Hungary. I love Budapest. The government's going to close down the borders due to the coronavirus, so Hungarian GP in doubt. Well, that's some months away, isn't it? Zandvoort, I hope that doesn't get cancelled, because there's huge interest in that event, and lots of tickets have been sold. And what a nightmare that must be to have to go and refund all those ticket sales. What about a GP in Denmark? I know nothing about Denmark. I'm sure Kevin's fans would love it. Says Josh Paul.
Yeah, I was looking at that too. I think it is. Yeah.
Well, I know two Josh Pauls. I know your cousin and my nephew, and I also know a photographer. This is trippy. Which Josh Paul are you?
I have a feeling he's the former.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Let's go. Do you shoot any air shows? No, I don't. What would be a good replacement for the China Grand Prix? Any Grand Prix. Is the race going to be cancelled? Noel from Tanzania. I love Tanzania. I've been there a number of times. I've been to Katavi National Park, and not many of you would ever have been to Katavi. It's on the western side of the country, and very few people go there, but my God, the hippos are amazing. We don't know if it's going to be cancelled. Just don't know. I didn't think that McLaren would pull out. That came as such a shock. I figured Haas might, because they had a number of people affected, but thankfully none of them proved positive with their tests. Mick Wilkinson, you spend a lot of time talking about drivers. Are you any good at driving? No, in fact, you should go and search me on YouTube, Kim Illman, Targa Tasmania, Rihanna stage, and see me go off the road at 170 kilometres an hour, 35 metres in the air, and then go another 400 metres through a paddock before coming to a stop, crashing through a fence. Should be dead, but luckily lived through it unscathed.
You go. Sorry.
Did you see Netflix cameras in Melbourne? Yeah, they're back. They are back, and I took a photo. And if you go to kimillman.com or prostarpics.com, either one, and have a look at my gallery from today, yesterday maybe. Oh yeah, it is today. You'll see two of the rigs, and one of them is a monstrous thing. It's a Steadicam unit. It's
a Ronin 2 for anyone who
God, it's
knows
huge. And these guys have to hang that around their neck all day. What next? If you want to jump the queue and get your questions answered, Super Chat is the way to do that. Hi from WA, says Moving the Moon. Hello to you. What else have you picked out for me? Oh,
that's what I was going to say. I was going to say Esteban posted on his story the other day that he was shooting an interview for Netflix, I think.
Did he?
I think it was Esteban.
Yeah.
I might be wrong there.
Yeah. What am I going to answer next? Would you ever use Leica M rangefinder cameras at a GP? I've had a quick look at one. Do I see anybody using this brand? Yeah, there's a couple of guys who've got Leicas. I know Paul Ripke maybe, and Carlo from Ferrari use them, and I think somebody else has got one, but maybe Andy Hone. look, I don't know enough about them, and I think I'm more than happy using the Canon 1DX Mark III, of which I've got one, and I've ordered two, and the other one is just taking a long time to get here, but it's a stunning piece of technology and really nice to use.
Ellie wants to know who's the most popular driver on your Instagram.
Before I answer that, Ken Jonty says, do you know Jan Blomqvist? I do, and I've shot him a number of times and had a quick chat on several occasions with him in the paddock, and a lovely guy. Reminds me a little bit of Jack on Tracks from Ziggo Sport. Perhaps Jack's a bit more out there. And again, what was yours?
It was who does the best on your Instagram? Which driver?
Yesterday, it was... What was it yesterday? I think it was Daniel Ricciardo yesterday. And second yesterday, with about 9.5, nearly 10,000 likes, was Charlotte Sign. How about that? Just a attractive 20-year-old young lady. She absolutely creamed all the drivers, except one in the popularity stakes.
Brandon Elliott wants to know about this guy, the new 1DX Mark III.
This is the 1DX Mark III. And we have to have these little stickers on the bottom too, to be able to shoot, because at any stage, if you don't have a little sticker there that says whatever that says, stills, they'll ask you to go and get one so they know you're legit. Look, it looks exactly like the Mark II, quite frankly. It's a weighty piece, beautiful. Oh, I've done this before, but that's actually a little bit slow because it's dark in here, but it shoots at 16 frames a second. Highly recommended to all of you. It's a great piece of kit. Worth about what a small car would cost you in most countries.
I'm trying to log into your YouTube because the chat is now just bots, so you'll have to give me a moment.
Bots?
Yeah.
Is this all crap, is it?
A lot of it is crap.
Oh, yes,
because there's so many people in it.
Jack Ploy, yes, who used to be a dentist. What else can I tell you about today? There was a lot of following drivers in this morning because they walk so quickly. Normally, on that Melbourne walk, they will spend 15 minutes signing autographs, chatting all the way through. And I was going to do a video next week on autographs. And I thought, well, I've got a lot of it, but I'll get all the catch-up shots that I need this weekend. I'll just go along and follow people, follow drivers signing autographs and follow those people who have got them and get photos of the actual autograph. But they're not doing it, so now they get through that Melbourne walk in a minute and a half, and I get no opportunity to go and get photos of autographs. Yes, leave bots, says Bob William. How many scarves do you have, Mad Max asks. How do these bots even...
It's very clever. I assume that they go and take previously commented things.
Jeez.
I've never seen them before.
Scarves, I've got about 3 and my wife's got plenty, and Mark Thompson, who runs Getty Images, he's pretty much the godfather of F1 photographers. He's always on to me about, why do you wear these scarves? Get rid of the scarves. Who cares? It's something colourful. Jess from the USA, the Netflix cameras prevent you from getting pics. Yeah, they do. And in fact, all TV cameras have right of way. Pretty much, you just have to accept the fact that they are going to get in your shot, and because they're bigger bits of kit, you're going to have to work around it. But that's why I tend to look when a driver comes into the paddock for the first 50 metres perhaps. The TV cameras are there, and then at some point they lose interest. So if they're a driver that's at the far end of the paddock, I just don't even bother trying to get them when there's TV crews around. I walk back a little bit further and then follow them back to their hospitality suite or garage and hope that there's no one else around. Obviously, and in the top 2 teams though, it's a little bit trickier because they're normally at the head of the paddock and they've got the shortest walk. You need a moderator. Well, normally I would have one in Perth, but I'm not in Perth, and we had to struggle to get this thing working. That's why the audio is not as good as you'd find in Perth, and nor is the extras. So thank you for your patience though. But it was easy to set up. Francesco Rubini, have you had the opportunity to have a chat with Nicholas Latifi? Yes, I did today, just quickly, and yesterday was nice too. When I say yesterday, I mean, even though it's 1 a.m. here, I mean the day prior. He was walking out of the track and he was just sort of nonchalant, and I think I was the only shooter there. And I started shooting, and he looked at me and perked up and smiled a couple of times and walked past proudly and looked great. And I think I introduced myself to him at that point because I'd not spoken to him prior. And then today, he was with Roman Grosjean for a second. I had a quick chat with him there. And then he was coming for his photo for the driver portrait. And I'm doing this video on sunglasses, and I had a chat with him, and I can tell you he had a pair of Tom Ford glasses on today, and he's not sponsored by them. And I did find out too that Roman Grosjean's sponsored by Dita Eyewear. Dita has a number of drivers and teams, and Pierre Gasly has a new sponsor, Hawkers. And I knew nothing of them, and I was in Barcelona, no, I was in Madrid. I went to Madrid after Barcelona for a couple of days, and I thoroughly loved it. I think it's my favourite European city. And I found a Hawker's store, and they sell very affordable glasses, and now Pierre is one of their ambassadors. Is that your son? Yes, it is Dan Lee.
And I am actively killing the bots.
How do you do that?
Do you want to show
No,
you?
you don't. You can show me later. Is it true that there will be 2 GPs at Bahrain? Well, that was a suggestion yesterday, that we'd run 2 back-to-back, but I just don't think we're even going to get there now. I think if McLaren says, no, we're going home, well, that's going to be a little bit tricky. You're going to have 9 teams. It's just such a fluid situation that chops and changes, and people tell you one thing and then you're hearing other stories. I've never ever come across anything quite like it in my short career. We're back to 769 people. Get on to your mates and get them to join this chat.
I think it's because bots are slowly leaving.
Is that right? Oh, the
Could very
bots,
well be.
rightio. I want to get high quality F1 pictures to get framed. How do I get high quality digital images from you? You go to prostarpics.com, prostarpics.com, and you type in Lewis Hamilton, or you type in Lando Norris, or German Grand Prix 2018, and you go through and you pick them, and you click on them, and you download them if they're for personal use. Start as low as about probably $16 US. And you can have them digitally, take them to your printer, print them out. And that's what I think one of my followers did today, that guy that was in the paddock. And he had a picture of the Daniel Ricciardo shot coming onto the grid. Jimmy J, what one experience stands out as the most touching? Oh, no, there were two instantly. Shooting the younger drivers hugging Antoine Hubert's mum on the grid at Spa. That was the only time I've been teary, and that was quite a unique thing to be involved in. And the other one was Mexico, was it 2-3 years ago? And on lap 19, everyone had to stand up and put their fist in the air. And I knew it was coming. That was to, I guess, show support for all those people that were killed in the earthquakes there. And I just happened to look up at the screen and saw lap 19, and I turned around, there was a grandstand full of people with their fist in the air, and it was the most marvellous thing, and for a minute it was there, and it was quite spectacular. So Jimmy J, there are 2 experiences that stand out as touching and emotional.
Ben Levy.
Yeah, well, I can't even see that.
Yeah, I can get it. There you
Right.
go. There's Ben Levy's.
Ben Levy or Levi.
Oh yeah.
It's probably Levy. Love watching you from my apartment with a view of the track. Wondering, is more of your income from clients or from selling photos? Don't worry about the income. We don't worry about that. It comes from a number of different sources. Some not even F1 related, but it's a tricky thing. So thank you for your question, Ben. I'm going to go on now to Brody. And these guys are clever enough to have jumped the queue to get their questions answered by going on to live chat. Now, obviously, you're in Melbourne too, Ben. If you're, super chat. If you can see it from your apartment, well, you've done very well.
Also, you're up late.
Yeah, you should go to bed, mate. Or have you been out night clubbing? 1:45 in the morning. Shit, I've got to be at the track at 9 tomorrow morning, but that's all right. What are some of the scarier moments that you've had on track when you've been at the circuit? Thanks. I love the content, says Brody, who is an Australian as well. Scary? I was shooting in Budapest, and Lance Stroll spun right in front of me. That wasn't scary, and there was no wire above the fence, and he was only about 5 metres from me. I know, actually, but earlier on, Charles Leclerc had come around the corner, and he's got his ass out all over the place, and at that point I thought, oh, I'm in trouble here, and I backed away quickly. But more so, the scariest place is Eau Rouge, bottom of Eau Rouge, when they come up the hill there, and not that any chance of an accident at the time I was there, but it's just frightening standing there and listening to the noise of the tyres over the rumble strip and the speed at which they go past and the amount of air that they push. It's quite phenomenal.
Kathy said something interesting. Again,
Yes.
I assume it's speculation,
Yes.
but she said that she just read on Twitter that F1 TV broadcasters were told not to go to the circuit tomorrow. That would be interesting.
Yeah.
And someone else has backed it up, but again, it sounds a little bit like speculation.
Well, I'm not sure any of my F1 TV people would be awake at this hour to
and
contact.
it seems as if it's quite late for them to be notified at 1 a.m.
Yeah.
Another a question I saw a while back was, have you ever been hit by debris?
Never. No. But two things. I remember, because we stand very close to the track at Monaco when they come up the hill after turn 1, when the whole field comes round on lap 1, the first time they come past you at such a speed and create this vortex where all this dirt and crap comes at you afterwards. So you've got to take your photos and then turn around and just bang, it hits you. It's nothing big or anything. There's not stuff flying around, but you certainly know that you're at an F1 race.
I picked it because I remember the first time in Monaco when I was sat on the barrier
Yeah.
and I got pushed back against the wall as Hamilton came round and nearly clipped the barrier.
Yes. It's quite exciting. What have we got here? Verstappen already said he won't race if not all teams are present. Okay.
Really?
Well, I wonder if he sticks to that now. I hope I get my money back for F1 TV, says Olivia De La Rosa. It doesn't work often enough for me. I've had a lot of problems with that.
Me too.
The tweet is breaking, hearing from close sources that FOM... Oh, okay, that's what you just said. Is your son following your footsteps, or what's his passion? No, I don't think he wants to go and do this. He's doing other things, smarter things. You should make a photo book. What makes you think I'm not? I could well be doing that. I think it's fair for Stappy to say that, says Shaiji. Have you ever found yourself mindlessly drawing an F1 car? Never, never.
I was just reading that.
I'm a hopeless drawer. Yukhbar, from where would this man be from? I'm thinking Middle East somewhere, maybe Pakistan. Got a lot of Pakistan people, Indian people who follow my Instagram.
Amir says maybe we'll see some Williams on the podium with all the teams stepping out.
Yeah. Well, George Russell was wearing a Tommy Hilfiger Times Lewis shirt, or ex-Lewis, whatever you say, yesterday. He was looking pretty cool in that. When you go to races, does anyone else go with you? Tyler's been a couple of times. I've had a couple of assistants from time to time, but no, normally it's just me. I just like to do my own thing and work at my own pace. I don't want to tell anyone else what to do. And is your son always watching F1 with you?
Not
No,
always.
but the other one does. The other one
Yeah.
watches all the races. And yeah, the first time he went to a race, I think, was in...
Here 2 years ago. Maybe three.
No, well, he also went to Japan.
Oh, yeah, much
Lovely
earlier.
Pierre from the French GP Authority got him a ticket for the main stand, and he watched the race there. I didn't think he'd last the whole race. Well, my God, he was turned on to it big time. He was texting his mum, oh, this has just happened, and this has just happened. And afterwards, he couldn't shut up. He loved it. McDonald's burnt chicken nuggets. Does that mean they're not coming on then? What does that mean? James May? Oh, I've got no idea what that means. I'm moving from London to Brisbane in September. That's if we'll have you. We might close the borders like other countries. Any suggestions on best places to visit in Oz? Yeah, go to Wedge Island. It's about 30 minutes north of Lancelin. You've never seen anything like it. Go onto Facebook and have a look at my page, Wedge Island. It's a phenomenal place. It's all these, what are they? It's all these shacks, shanty shacks that the government's trying to get rid of, but can't. Them, I wonders, is Pierre wearing a lot of AlphaTauri clothes? What was he wearing? What was that blue thing he had on? He had a blue thing on.
I know, in a picture?
No, it's yesterday at the track. Yesterday afternoon at the track.
Oh, it was in your picture.
Yeah, I know, but I can't remember what it was.
I think that was AlphaTauri.
Hi from Florida, says Josh King. Do you feel that the US audience is growing as the years go on? I don't know. If you were in America, you'd know more than me. I think the Netflix show has certainly done it no harm, and the sport has appreciated that rise in popularity. Have you done a Targa rally sprint? Went to my first tonight. Hi from Perth, says Tyson Bro. A rally sprint, is that like a gymkhana around a car park or something?
That'd be fun.
I've done some of those. I actually won the Targa West Classic. No, one of the Targa West rallies in a Porsche I had some years ago. It was a great event. Didn't manage to come off at high speed on that one. Joven, hey Kim, have you heard about the petition to cancel the race? Oh, who cares about a petition? I think they're going to make the decision based on something more than a petition. No, I haven't heard about it anyway. Belgium is going in full lockdown right now. Maybe a solution to this pandemic is for a global lockdown. Or just let everyone get it and get over it like a normal flu. That's what some people are saying.
Yeah.
Who knows? Who'd want to have to make that decision? It's quite a world. It's a tricky thing, isn't it? When would you be featured in Drive to Survive? I wouldn't think they'd have much interest in me, so probably never. As an American, definitely seen it growing, says Jess. Can easily see more grid girls there. Oh, I think we miss the grid girls. We really do. In fact, today I was photographing some women for Women of the Paddock, and I thought, there's just not a lot in there. There's very few women. It's a very, as we all know, it's a male-dominated sport. Lennox,
yeah, I was going to ask that.
Raikkonen and Leclerc. Do you think Ferrari will come back to Italy after the Australian GP? Well, talking to Kate tonight from Italy, she says that the borders are closed. Now, I don't know how they're going to get back if that's the case. I don't know enough about it. Perhaps if you're an Italian, you could tell us. Are Italians allowed to come back home? I can't see that they'd be stopped. Wouldn't seem right. Can we buy your photos? Yes, you can buy prints if you live in Australia, or digital images if you live outside of Australia. So get on to prostarpics.com, be my guest, and for any photo you like, and get it printed. What are we now? I think it's time to go to bed.
Yeah, it's just about.
Yes, 7 more minutes. With McLaren in quarantine, do you think heading to Bahrain for, at most, a non-championship event makes sense? No, if McLaren doesn't go in the race, I can't see us going there, really. It's going to be a fairly interesting Sunday, I think, if we get to Sunday with cars on the track. It might all come to a screaming halt tomorrow, and of course it's all speculation until we find out the answer. I'm from Austria. Borders to Italy from Austria are closed. Okay, so that's interesting. That's really interesting. You can get into Italy. You just need to have a reason to get in. Being business related, my friends are stuck there. And I think Ferrari managed to put forward their case to get their crew out of Italy to Australia. And obviously they put a reasonable case forward because they are here. I really feel sorry for the people that have to sort out the drama if it doesn't go ahead. Who has to contact all the sponsors and arrange? And I don't even know what the contracts say with regards cancelling an event, because how often does that happen? Some of you diehards would know more than me as to how often this happens. My understanding, it's a rare thing.
Yeah, JP Dom said Craig Slater live on TV now. Is that live on TV talking about something about this or is it someone else? Have I just given out a shout out for no reason?
Okay.
Something confirmed. JP Dom, please explain what is confirmed.
Yes. Do you have any interest in ever going to Indianapolis 500? No, I don't.
Race is going ahead.
Where did you say that?
Apparently,
We have some hot news here, do we?
apparently, if JP Dom is a credible source.
Yeah, who knows? Sky Sports News live now. Okay, I feel for every freelancer facing job insecurity because of this stuff. Yeah, it's
Awful.
Yep, and what happens to the drivers? I guess they get paid their wages if there's no races, but there are a lot of people who are race by race and have spent a lot of money on travel, and a lot of them would have booked fares and accommodation that's non-refundable. I've booked a few non-refundable hotels, and most of the stuff I buy, I pay the higher rate and make sure I can cancel. For two reasons, because hey, something like this happens, I get my money back. And the second reason, closer to the event, if you find that room cheaper, you can ring them up and say, hey, that room's cheaper, and they've got to give it to you at the cheaper rate. And if they say no, you say, oh, I'll cancel and I'll book the room on your site at the lower price. Right, 4 more minutes.
Lots of people are saying the race is going ahead, but then there's also some people saying that some broadcasters have been told not to go to the circuit tomorrow, which could just be their own employers keep following their own set of rules.
Yes. Sky News confirms race is happening at this stage. But of course, if Ferrari pulls out tomorrow or the next day, well then that might be something different. I've already booked tickets for Silverstone. Rest in peace, $3,500.
That's rough.
Yeah. You'll get your money back from them. Any other questions here worth looking at? How do you get accommodation for races? Well, you book them a long way out. Just accommodation is rarely a problem, except in Japan and Spa. Two shockers. Not much of any quality around, hellishly expensive. And in Japan, most of them stink of cigarette smoke. Not enjoyable at all if you're a non-smoker and an avid non-smoker. A couple of more questions. Throw up the peace sign if you see this dude. Thank you for that. What does that mean? No, we won't worry about that. How long do you think this will be a problem for? I don't know. My opinion will be the same as yours, I think, until... Somebody said tonight, and I think this is spot on, look, you can't hold the tide back, and I'm not sure that you can stop something like this if it's that easy to pass on to somebody else. Perhaps you just have to let it run its race and just get everyone... And I know it's going to hurt some people, obviously those frail and those with respiratory illnesses and diseases and weaknesses. They're probably going to suffer, but people die in car accidents every day, and a lot more people die in car accidents around the world, and perhaps this is taking out. But they're completely different things. So we will keep our fingers crossed that everybody gets out of this okay, and we get a race on Sunday, and that tomorrow all the cars are on track. It's not too wet, because there was supposed to be a storm here tonight, but I think the weather's looking reasonable for Melbourne, although you do get 4 seasons in a day in this city. And the traffic is busy around the track. Somebody suggested today, why don't we just stay here and run 3 races here, 3 weekends in a row? I don't think the Melbourne people would take that too kindly, because they don't like traffic interruptions. And remember, this is only about 4 kilometres from the heart of Melbourne City. Right, one final question.
Isabel seems very avid and very...
Or she keep putting the same question down?
She really wants to know how the energy around the teams in the FIA is right now. Yeah.
I see a lot of the crew talking, and I think they're swapping notes. How are you going over there? And it's concern, but not panic. That's the way I read it. I think they definitely want to race. I don't think there's anyone here, I could be wrong, that's here begrudgingly. We just need to see some cars on the track tomorrow to at least get a start and give those people who pay for Friday tickets some sort of return. on their investment, and then we can just roll out and hopefully we get a Saturday and a Sunday. So thank you to you for tuning in, and thank you to those Melbourne people for staying up. But at this stage, we're going to say goodnight to you, and keep a lookout on Instagram tomorrow for all of my good pics. And if you want to see those driver portraits, I put up all 20 drivers today. And thank you very much for your attendance. And Tyler?
Going to have to reach over and
Yes.
like this.
Yes. Or I could just gently
Just
roll
dip
a
out.
shot like that.
I don't know how to. I think I hit the cross. Oh yeah. All right.
Bye-bye.